So this evening, I'm delighted to talk to Bury's captain from the mid-1990s, the period that I wrote my second book about. Please say hello to Mr. David Pugh. David, great to speak to you.
And you, James, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
So first thing to ask, David, I suppose, how did you come to join Bury? Because I think a lot of Bury fans will remember you from Chester. I think we were quite surprised that we got a player of your calibre for a fairly low transfer fee that we've paid for you.
Well, how it came about was my contract was coming to the end at Chester, and there was a bit of behind the scenes going on with the new takeover with the Americans. And there was a couple of games to go towards the end of the season, and I got a phone call off Spike. Well, basically, he tapped me up really. He said that Bury were keen, and you know, they were interested. They knew I was out of contract. But I've known Spike for, I don't know, must be 30 odd years now. And we were together at Runcorn. We've had a similar career since then, you know, with him eventually coming into the league and doing well at Barnet and stuff like that. And basically, at the end of the day, he was the main reason why I joined, to be honest with you. Like, if it wasn't for him, I most probably wouldn't have come.
And what were your first impressions when you joined?
Well, it was totally different to Chester. Going to a new ground, going to Bury, fantastic old ground, you know, full of history, and it was run better than it was at Chester. And I think at the time they just needed a little bit of experience because they had a couple of good, decent players at the time. And I think they just needed that little bit of experience. I was made up going to Bury, yeah. In the end, I made the right decision.
Well, certainly for us as fans, you did. Yeah, I mean, you know, what an important player you were to us. What are your memories of that first season? It was 94, 95 was your first season.
94, 95, yeah. We started off like house on fire. Except for obviously the first game, we got beat by Rochdale. But from then on, went on a bit of a run, and you know, got ourselves into a good position. Wheels fell off at Christmas. But overall, you know, the amount of goals that I scored, you know, I was made up with that. Yeah.
There were two games in particular I was going to ask you about against Northampton Town.
Yeah.
We scored 10 goals against Northampton that season, and you scored half of them.
Yeah, we 2 5-0ers, and I got half of them. Yeah, got 3 at their place and 2 at our place. Yeah, that was good. The only hat-trick I've ever scored.
Was it?
Yeah. Only hat-trick I scored, yeah.
And of course, come the end of the season, you know, we had that really bad result at Preston, but then we had to play Preston in the playoffs. How were you feeling before
that? Well, we come back into form, and we'd finished the season strong. And you know, we got a bit of a hiding against Preston early on in the season, got beat 5-0, and we were pretty confident, to be fair. You know, if we can get off to a good start, which we did.
And you scored at Deepdale in the first leg.
Yeah.
Wearing the shirt.
Early on, I think. Wearing the shirt, yeah. The green, yeah, I like that kit. And also the purple kit later on. But the Preston game, I could have had 3. That even though we were under a bit of pressure, we hit them on the break second half. And I could have had another 2 in the second half. I remember the last one, I ended up squaring it to Stan Ternent, a bobble, and it bounced over his foot. And just before that, I had a shot, and it's gone past the keeper, and the left back come from nowhere and blocked it right behind him. And that was on its way in. So, yeah, I could have had 3 that day.
And then we take them to Gigg in the second leg, and it was quite a nervy game. I mean, they threw absolutely everything at us.
It was. It was back to the wall, and everyone defended well, and we were under pressure for I don't know, 90% of the game. It was most of the game was played in that half, and we just dug in, threw our bodies in front of everything, and we scored in the last minute.
Yeah, Mr. Rigby, my favourite goal of all time.
Yeah, absolute fantastic goal. It was a great goal to cap it off. You know, being under pressure, catching him on a break, and then just lashing in the top corner. Yeah.
I've spoken to you before about the video that the club produced for Wembley. It showed a real tight-knit group of players. What was the team spirit like?
Going down to Wembley?
Yeah, well, just in general, and then
in general, yeah, it was good.
Highlighted on that video.
As I said earlier on, they needed a bit of experience. A lot of young lads. You know, Spike was there, and a couple of other players like Ronnie Mosier being around, and Roger Stanislaus. But I think they needed a little bit experience on and off the pitch, if you know what I mean. They were too nice. Some of them, the younger lads, they were, a bit too nice, and they needed to get out and have a good time off the pitch, and form that bond, which we did well.
Yeah, I can imagine a couple of scousers like you and Spike showed them a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Jacko as well. He's an adopted scouser, so he was a young lad, and we sort of took him under the wing, sort of thing. And it was good. It was a good period.
And then going back to the Wembley game itself, what went wrong?
Well, I don't think not a lot. I think we got caught a sucker punch, and both goals are practically identical long throws, and we just didn't defend them. But we had 11 corners in the first half, and Chris Lacetti had one stop from 6 yards from the keeper, who actually played for Northampton early on the season on loan, and we put 5 past him. And I've not the keeper Billy Stewart played for Chester with me, and he wasn't the best of kickers, out of his hands or off the floor. But at the Wembley game, he just booted everything, and it went the full length of the pitch, saved everything. It was probably one of the best games he's ever had. But as I said, we've even hit the post from a free kick outside of the post, yes, and I don't think not a lot went wrong. We prepared well going down. It was just never meant to be, really.
You mentioned before about when you joined Bury, the history. You are actually the only man to have ever led Bury out at Wembley.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that until you told me.
Yeah.
I know they won the cup earlier on, the turn of the 1900s, but that was played at Crystal Palace, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, nice one. I'm very pleased that you're very proud of it. So, the following summer, a bit of a hangover from Wembley, but Mike Walsh is still in charge. He brings a few new lads in. How do you think we're going to do? What were you thinking at the time?
Well, at the end of the first season, and we just missed out. We went to the town hall, and we come out on the balcony. I did shout to the crowd that we'll get promoted next season. I did actually say that to them, and as you say, we didn't get off to a great start. Maybe the headache from losing at Wembley, maybe, but we just didn't get out the starting blocks, and it cost Mike his job, which we felt very sorry for him at the time because he'd done nothing wrong. Remember the first game away to Northampton, and we absolutely battered us. We just didn't get out the blocks, and it took us a while to recover. But we went on a long run and kept it going to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think happened? What was it about Stan that made things turn around?
Well, he's got a proven track record. Not that, at the time everyone would known about it, but he's coached the highest level down at Crystal Palace. End of the 80s, the likes of Ian Wright, Mark Bright, or early 90s, and he's coached at Chelsea. He had a good career himself, and he's had that experience to, win something, or get promotion, or achieve success. And a couple of signings, Dean West that season, Dave Johnson, and just added to what we had. And, it's sort of the jigsaw pieces fell into place and we went on that run.
Yeah, I think one of the things he did that I see as most important was that he brought Lenny into the team, because Lenny was more of a bit part player under Mike Walsh, but then Stan made him an integral part of his team. And I think...
Yeah, there were two hard-working centre midfielders, Lenny and Nick Dawes. And the amount of ground they covered, especially Nick and Lenny, they could run all day, get the tackles in. And it paid off, putting Lenny in.
I've got my own memories of the 95-96 season. There's games like the one at Mansfield where Phil Stant got 4. There's Sheffield United in the League Cup where we beat them 4-2 down at Gigg. What are your memories of that season?
That was a great night, the Sheffield United. Great atmosphere. And again, we started like a house on fire, and Spike scored, Stanty scored. We put them really under pressure from start to finish, really. And it was a great night afterwards as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then, of course, Reading.
Oh, but I got the other goal, by the way, at that Mansfield game.
Yes, you did. Well, I've always said that when you made it 2-1, you set Bury's course for the next few years with that goal, yeah. Oh, in fact, my mate Duncan said it, and I nicked it from him. So
yeah. Yeah, it was the one. Just I think the start of the second half. I think it was just a loop and then went over.
Yeah, that's right.
Went over the keeper. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is known for Phil Stant, scoring 4 that day. What's
it like? Is, of course, and quite right too. Some of the goals he scored. I remember him getting one at Lincoln at the end of the season. They smashed him in his left foot. It was a good little move, and he smashed the first time for about 20 odd yards, and then it flew in the top corner.
Yeah, it's one of
and then he ran away towards the Bury fans in the stand.
So again, back to the following.
That might have been a season before. It was, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the season before. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, because the season in '95, we beat Lincoln 7-1 down at Gigg.
That's right. Yeah,
which is another one of my favourite games.
7-1. Yeah, it was funny that the keeper had green boots on or yellow boots, and they just come into fashion then, so he deserved that.
Yeah, I can imagine Stan said something.
He deserved. I mean, you've got to be a good player to wear all them boots at the time, or pulling your socks up over your knees. Because if you didn't, you weren't a good player, you just looked stupid. So.
And of course, the game that we got promoted, you scored in that game as well.
The Cardiff game, yeah. That was one of the most exciting, nerve-wracking games I've been involved in, especially getting told to score from the crowd, going through the game. You could hear the little roar and then somebody shouting onto me, the Darlington getting beat, and then another roar on, they're getting beat 2-0, we score. And then somebody second half, so right, it's 2-2, and then, we put our game to bed. And I think we finished 5 minutes beforehand, and we did. It was 3-2 to Scunthorpe, and then 3-3. And I remember speaking to Peter Reid, and the career Peter's had, and for him to say that's one of the most nerves he's ever been. He's played in the World Cup quarter-final, and that's the most nerves he's ever been. He said he was pacing up and down with a radio to his ear, listening to the game at Darlington, at Scunthorpe. And I remember Mark Sartori having a radio. I think he took it off somebody in the crowd by the dugout, and the crowd spilling on. I think we walked into the tunnel first, and the game was still going on. And as we come back out, that was it. Then we knew that it ended 3-3.
Yeah, I was on the pitch myself then. I mean, that pitch was just amazing, wasn't it? There wasn't a blade of grass on it. It was just
it was just all sand. It was just all sand. I fell over. I remember one game, and there was a hole in the ground. It was just sand, and I've got my eye on a ball, and I put my foot in this hole and fell over. And I think it was the time where we just had started a bit of a bad run. I think we got knocked out by Blythe Spartans or something like that in the FA Cup. I think it was that game, and I can hear the crowd shouting at me and stuff like that. What are you doing, falling over? It wasn't the best of pitches. I think that's come from the lacrosse at the time in the first season, and it absolutely bounced down Boxing Day in the 3-3 draw against Wigan.
Yeah, I remember that.
Puddles everywhere and never recovered. And even the start of the next season, it was just sand.
Yeah, and rugby games from Swinton as well. Swinton were playing.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it didn't help things.
So after promotion, I'll ask you the same question I asked you about after Wembley. How did you think we'd go on in the following season?
Well, obviously, for the likes of myself, I can only say this from I thought, like, you know, we do well. That'll be an achievement if we manage to stay in there. We're going up a division. Teams coming down, but he made some shrewd signings for basically buttons, and we'd gone on front. Yeah, I think we caught the league with the pants down. Really, no one gave us a thought, and we just kept quietly beating teams. And it was only towards the last 6 weeks or 2 months that the few people opened their eyes, say, aye, these are not too bad.
Like I say, some of those signings, the likes of Gordon Armstrong, Ronnie Jepson, they were real statements of intent. I mean, none more so than Dean Kiley, obviously.
Dean Kiley, yeah.
A goalkeeper like that was just absolutely phenomenal. But unfortunately, you got injured very early on in that season against Notts County in the League Cup. Yeah,
Notts County. Just the way we played, the way we set up was, and set pieces was aimed at me to flick on, and we played from there. Stan's way of playing, and I always jokingly blamed Dean Carey for being left-footed. If he was right-footed, it would come towards me. If he was left-footed, it went away from it, so I had to go, running for it. Yeah, it was an accident. I've flicked the ball on, and I've been caught by the centre half and put my arm down, dislocate my elbow, and then went and did it 5 months later on the other arm, exactly the same thing. Yeah, that was against Mansfield, wasn't it? In the Mansfield, in the one of them auto glass, was it something like that? Yeah. One half the pitch was frozen, and both games I'd just scored as well. Yeah. I just scored, and 10 minutes later, I'm in the hospital. So what I remember about the game is that Brian Kilcline saw it happen, and a big beast of a man, and he was. That's right. Yeah. He was quite affected by it. He was, yeah. Apparently, I don't know, Jacko, like, he was close around as well, Michael Jackson, and he was telling me after he turned away, Kilcline. Yeah, you would expect that from him. He was just like a big Viking one here, especially when he played for Coventry. It's just one of them things, couldn't be helped. But I only ended up playing 18 games that season because of the 2 injuries. And you would expect it, I suppose, with your arm injuries in football, legs, yeah, but not your arms. It only happened to me. Well, you did make a comeback on the last day of the season, and it must be a very proud moment that you got to lift that trophy with Chris Laketti. Yeah, it was. I remember it was the Luton game, or the Watford game, I think. We went down, and that was another great game, and defended brilliant, and the last minute save from Dean. So I lost my thread there. I was going to say before Andy, I think it was either the Luton game or the Watford. It must have been the Watford game. He said, "I'm not going to put you sub." I played the reserve game at Walsall with the kids. I said, we can't afford any chance. I think it was the Luton game. Can't afford any chances, and I'm not going to risk putting you on the bench. Once we guarantee promotion, then we look at it. Then we guarantee promotion against Watford, and then the last game against Millwall. I think he just it was a great gesture by him. He didn't have to do it. I'd been out a long time, and he put me sub. I remember speaking to him on the Friday, and him telling me on the Friday we were at Goshen, sat down, and he told me what he was going to do, what the intentions were, and if we beat them, I want you and Chris Laketti to go up and, pick the trophy up, which is a great gesture by him, really. I was absolutely proud and made up.
Yeah, I think, we all felt as fans that you deserved it because of the way that you'd been the previous season as well. You were a real talisman of a captain, and Chris was more than able to step into your shoes. But I think,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Again,
Chris, it was a couple of years on his back, more experience for him. Another one who was a great young player who needed that experience around him, and I think the likes of him benefited from the likes of me and Spike, and other people like that, to improve his career, which he did.
And then again, you're thinking you're facing up to life in the second tier. That must be amazing, given where you've come from, and you joined a team that was in the basement.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I had a few. I don't have problems with my knees. I haven't got the best legs in the world, and I've always suffered with them, and especially the hard grounds through the summer and what have you. And I remember the game against Brentford. No, Reading. It was Reading. Yeah, it was Reading. The season before was Brentford. Yeah, Reading. Yeah, and after 50 odd minutes, I think 60 minutes, I dared to pre-season at Ratcliffe Borough, I think. And it sort of went on me, and I'd had a few injections, steroids to kill the pain, and then it just went on me at the Reading game, and that was it. Over.
I do remember. I wrote about it in the book how emotional it was at the Player of the Season awards that year when Stan announced that you'd had to retire. What was the process leading up to the announcement? I mean, had you tried and gone through all kind of rehabilitation and?
Yeah, it was hard work, and because of the injury, I had a little operation, but when you go into these operating theatres, there's more germs and bugs inside them than there's, outside. And unfortunately, got infected, and it was that sort of finished me off. And it was stuck. I couldn't extend it. I couldn't bend it back, and it just wouldn't go straight, no matter what he did. Manipulation, I had another little op, and it just sprang back to that same position. And my contract was up, and I had to make some kind of a choice, some kind of decision. It was weird word, a word that possibly Stan would be on his way. And if a new manager come in, why would he want somebody who's out of contract who couldn't play for him? So I had to make a decision quite early on. I think it was around about the March. It was all kept quiet, and and it was left to the end of the season.
Yeah, as I said, it was very emotional when it was announced because.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
We all loved you,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. To be honest with you, I went up with Cliff Roberts. He was the scout. He lives up the road from me, and all the presentations and stuff. And I've looked at him, and he's looked at me and said, "Should we get off?" And I think Pat, the laundry woman, she over there, don't you be going now? I said, why? I said, well, don't you be going. So I knew something was happening then. So so a good job I stayed, because we were on our way back to the local, near the end. So it was a good job we stayed.
And just after your retirement, you told me a while ago that you've actually got a connection with one of the Bury team who got us promoted in 2019. You used to coach him as a kid. Who was that?
Nicky Adams.
Mm.
Nicky, yeah. When I took a year off, and I thought, well, I've got to do something here. Tried to make a comeback, actually, and Stan was at Burnley, and he said, come up and try and, get fit, and I had a whole season training. He didn't have to do that either, but even then, the plan was to play non-league, and it never happened. I wasn't fit enough. So I had a year off, and then I got a call off a lad I played with at Chester. It was Wilf McGuinness's son, Paul. He had a year at Chester, and he ended up being the assistant academy director at the time at Man United. And he said, "You fancy coming along and doing the bit?" I said, "Yeah, great, yeah." And Nicky was in my under-13 team, and he was a left back, but right-footed at the time. And then we had a terrible decision to the season after to release quite a few lads, and he was one of them. And it was great to see him, end up making a career out of it, and a winger as well. Little tricky little winger. And he used to do that to me at 13. What he did to the professionals, when they were playing, he was playing against at Bury. he was doing that, turning me inside out at 13. He was a great little player and a good kid as well.
Yeah,
a good kid. A really good kid. His mum and dad could be proud of him.
He's another one that we love as Bury fans, yeah, because of we had him when
he was exciting. He was exciting. Yeah, he was exciting, wasn't he? I've watched him a few times at Bury, and he'd drive you mad if you're a centre forward waiting for the cross, and he'd feint it and then come back on his right foot and then feint again, and you'd pull your hair out. But yeah, he was a good little talent. I was made up that, and there was a couple of others in that team who went on to have a good career. It was good, yeah. And it was a very enjoyable experience, yeah.
Are you all right saying what you do for a living now?
Yeah, I work in a prison. I've done that longer than I played football. Yeah, it's just our job, but it's work, and it's not as bad as what it's what you think. I'm in the gym now, so I work in the gym, and I'm not on the wings no more, so sort of the pressure's off.
It's one of those jobs that needs to be done, unfortunately, in society, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, we're frontline workers, and especially coming up to this time of year, and everyone gets a shout out, but the police, the fire brigade, the nurses, the NHS, we never get a shout out.
Never
not one bit.
No.
Nobody gives a shout out for the prison. They've just forgotten frontliners.
Well, you've made your case very well there. We'll make sure that we do something for you. That's absolutely fantastic, David. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, James, brilliant.
Great talking to you. Cheers.